Welcome to Leaders and Laggards.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us today. This is our team first intro of the leadership podcast of Leaders and Laggards. We'd like to introduce to you the 4 team members. Here we have Dave Swanson, we have Ken Riches, Jeff Custer, and myself, Riyad Ray Ardazi. We'd like to spend a few minutes with you to introduce ourselves, and mainly, more importantly, is why we're doing this leadership podcast and why. So here's Dave.
All right, thanks, Ray. So, I'll be honest with you, starting off here, I never do really care for these bio introductions of whether it's as an instructor or whatever, but I know that's part of what you do. So I'll talk a little bit about who I am and maybe more importantly, why I'm here. So I own a consulting firm, Multilateral Improvement. We focus on things like leadership development, as well as process improvement, personal development and growth. Why? I mean, a little bit more, I guess. I've been working as a leader basically my whole career. Came up through the ranks working as everything from an electrician to a supervisor, manager. And it's always been important to be able to build a good team, and that generally takes leadership. I started consulting 2010 timeframe, and one of the things that grabbed my attention right away was that so many people out there weren't as engaged in building teams as I had been in the past, and it just made common sense to me that that's where it all needed to start. So while I started out with a focus on continuous improvement, the lion's share of my work these days is always going to be leadership development. I guess for me, I just don't know how you make continuous improvement a reality without building as well as the individuals around you. Why I'm $1 billion a year, $160 billion a year in the United States alone. And what you'll hear is that a lot of people don't feel like their share of that $160 billion was well spent. I'm an advocate of processes that work, and I think over the years I've been influenced by not only my own mentors, but people like John Maxwell, Timothy Galloway, right? Those kind of folks have, I guess, influenced my thinking a lot. So when people ask me what is leadership, I point back to John Quincy Adams, and I say I think he fairly well nailed it. Right? If you can, with your actions, inspire people to be more, learn more, and do more than they otherwise would have on their own, then that makes you a leader. So for me, everybody is a leader, and it's what you do with that chance that really matters. And so my goal in life is to help people make the most out of that opportunity. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Dave. Now we go to Ken.
My name's Ken Riches, and I'm the principal in project management considerations, and I have a membership site called Solutions Leadership. I started my career in 1984 as an electrical engineer working on power plant design. And during my various roles in those first couple of years, one of the things I really learned pretty quickly is that there's a difference between managing and leading. And that led me to, in 1989 to go for my master's in engineering management. And that was in the heyday of Peter Drucker. And it's all about how do you motivate professionals in flattening organizations. 15 years into my career, I became involved in large construction projects, and I made the transition from being an engineering manager to a project manager. And that really is, it takes a lot more of the human skills to influence and drive successful cross-functional projects than it does to be a functional manager, where you have the position power. But when you're a project manager, often you're You may be in a weak or a medium matrix organization, but you don't necessarily always have the authority. So the human skills and the influencing capability becomes really important. In either case, to be an effective leader that you would want to follow, you must foster an outward mindset with your team, earning their trust and getting out of their way. Coaching and mentoring can help foster this transformation into a true leader. In 2017, that's when I founded Project Management Considerations. I went on my own, my own as a consultant, and my initial focus was on project management and associated soft skills required to be successful. But my passion started to lean more towards leadership. After a little more than a year into this endeavor, I had a little bit of a detour. I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I ended up having to go back into the workforce. But one of the things that really showed me is that I want to really give back. I have a passion for giving back. I have a passion for leadership, and I have a passion for mentoring. And so everything I'm doing is through the solutions leadership team I have is about giving back and coaching and more importantly, mentoring. I started a charity called Forever Optimistic, Cancer You Suck, again, to give back and help people. My focus is and will continue to be on solutions leadership and connecting professionals because leadership matters. Over to you, Jeff.
All right. Thanks, Dave and Ken. It was really good to hear your kickoff to our new podcast. Ray, thanks for hosting our first episode. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Jeff Custer, and I am one of the partners in Level Up Leadership, a new organization that is dedicated to rid the world of toxic leadership. I've spent over 30 years in leadership roles in sole proprietorships as well as Fortune 500 companies. So have done a lot of leadership roles. One of my most favorite things I've gotten to do over the past probably decade is to be a leader of leaders. And the thing I like most about that is to be able to identify upcoming talent, to see maybe leadership abilities that they don't even see in themselves yet, and help them to really develop, to grow, and to actually become leaders. And one of the things that we see in the workplace today, I read an awful lot and see that somewhere around 2/3 of people say that they leave organizations because of bad leadership, because of toxic leadership. And I'm just here to tell you it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. We can change that. And I think that's one of the hopes that we have, the four of us here on our podcast, is to help you, the listener, figure out how can we eliminate toxic leaders? How can we help someone who's listening to eliminate the toxic behavior that maybe they have? One of the things too that I see is maybe what pops into your mind about toxic leadership is somebody yelling at somebody else. And certainly that falls into the realm of toxic leadership. But there's a lot of other behaviors that are a lot more subtle that impact how employees feel about their employment. So the cost to organizations, both dollar-wise and in mental health of employees, is just enormous. And so what I'm hoping that we can help our listeners with in this podcast, Ray, is that we can help eliminate some of those behaviors. And one of the areas I like to focus on really is to help new and aspiring leaders to make that leap to leadership. A lot of times we look at individual contributors and we say, oh, that person's a star. And so because they're a star individual contributor, they'll probably be a star leader. And I'm here to tell you, contribute to leader. And I think we're going to be able to insight, Ray, into helping people make that transition. How can they become good leaders and not exhibit those toxic behaviors so that we can make that change? And so I'm really excited, Ray, as the four of us have gotten together and have a lot of wisdom, I think, to share with those folks that are listening today. So, Ray, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jeff. It's exciting to be here. Many people ask me in my career, by the way, I'm Ray Ardaji. I'm from Michiana Lean Tech. We pride ourselves to help companies transform from good to great, but it's easy said than done. And many people ask me in my career, why are you an industrial engineer? How you pick this major and profession? Well, it's simple to me. It's a three-legged stool. It's people, product, and processes. And we look at those every time we interact with any client to improve, to move the needle in the right direction, in a positive direction. Our goal in the company is to help companies answer the why and listen to them and articulate that case, that gap. If there is a standard and there is an actual and there is a gap, and we trying to identify that gap and assess it, whether metrics, KPI, impact on the whole organization, and we try to put a formula for success. And our process addresses a few of this formula, few items of the variables in the formula, why change, and executive leadership, vision of the action items, the skills of the employees needed, the incentives needed for people to change, as well as action plan in place and resources. And we try to put all those gears in motion to get the real results for the company. I'm glad to be here with these professionals, leaders, and we want to work with you and show our lessons learned and share with you our pains and suffering for personally for the last 30 years. Everything we hit, everything we missed, and that's your gain today from these podcasts, is learning from us and reflecting upon, and so you don't have to go what we went through and you really jump on to the next level. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and remember, leadership matters.